Well, welcome in on this Wednesday, December the 18th. We got fireworks all over the place with the portal. With Michigan football news, it is as hot as can be right now. With Finn, the quarterback position, and then Mr. Payne, who I'm not quite sure if he's in, if he's out, if there's still a chance. Whatever happened there, it's going to be some speculation on my part on what went down. And if I'm talking another language, today might not be the show for you. You're like, I want to know about what's going on with Michigan football. Well, that's what's going on with Michigan football. The portal is bedlam. And for some, it's a thing of beauty and they're loving it. And others are like, this is the beginning of the end for college football. I don't know where you land. You know what? I would guess that where you are landing is in a spot that you like, because Michigan has been able to maneuver this bedlam in their favor, and they're pulling guys in to make their team. If Michigan was on the outside of looking in, and like 24 hours ago or 48 hours ago, certainly they weren't getting a lot of hits, people would say, what in the hell? This is terrible. But, things have changed, and now Michigan's looking pretty good. So I think Michigan fans are feeling pretty good about it. I know it's that's where it's at. If you're someone you love college football, this is a college football podcast, along with, we follow other Michigan sports like basketball, big game, and everything tonight. And then there's a pocket of college football fans that are really into recruiting, and people that are really into it. They're like really into it. And things change daily, if not hourly at times, when it comes to recruiting. And the transfer portal now is recruiting on steroids, and it is a different buzz when it comes down to it. And I say a buzz, like recruiting, soon as you get a recruit, you can predict that there's going to be someone who's next. I want another one. And the portal, it's like that, and it's condensed, and it's not a year-round thing. It's right now, and you just want more. And it just keeps going on, and it's happening. It's fascinating. This landscape right now has changed. So this is the first time that we are all going through it. So to try to sit here and say, well, this is how it's going to play out, and these are the things that are going on. Hell, a month ago, if you recall me sitting here, I was putting the Bryce Underwood recruitment as comparable to Michigan winning the lottery, or close to winning the lottery. I didn't think it was quite that big of a hit if they would, but it was it was big. It was a big deal. It was close to that, not quite winning the lottery. And then they did win the lottery, and they got Underwood. So, and now, how things are going, to try to tell you people are predicting all these things when this is the first time through. It's a wild situation. I'm glad you're joining us here. I'm going to work through it, talk through it with you, answer your questions. And, speed dating, I've seen TV shows, movies, where there's speed dating, where you sit down. I don't know how long you got, a minute, 5 minutes. You start exchanging information, and then the buzzer rings. I guess you get the phone number. Maybe you just have to touch your phone, and then it's on to another date. And it's a little bit like that with what's going on with the portal. This college football madness I just talked about, I'll give you some thoughts on it, but we're going to start with this development with a recruit that is from Belleville, who was one of the highly rated defensive tackles, defensive linemen in high school, who ended up going to Alabama. We're going to start with Mr. Payne, because this is the news that is the freshest and also the most tantalizing. First, I want to tell you, you might be sitting around. Sure, you're ordering things online, and they're coming to your house, and you got to fend off porch pirates and all these different things that are going on this holiday season. Hopefully all your gifts make it to your front porch and under the tree for your loved ones. Well, here is a gift for the big Michigan fan in your life. It is the gift that keeps on giving, and it is the gift of the Maize and Blue Review, which you can order up today for that Michigan fan in your life. Maybe that Michigan fan is you. You can gift yourself the Maize and Blue Review and get full access and instant access by going to michigan.rivals.com. I hope you do that. You'll have tons of fun. I guarantee that you'll have a great time over on the Maize and Blue Review. How about that? It has my full backing. Now, before we go any further, let me see if okay, here it is. Payne. Earlier today, I left to go get an oil change and go to the gym. I was going to pick somebody up at the airport, but their flight got delayed. And so I'm back here, the long story short, right at 2:00, right when this show starts. But I log on and I see that Michigan has been able to get Payne from Alabama, and he's coming in to be part of next year's class. And it's like, all right, this is what's your prediction for Michigan's defense next year? Payne for the opponent. And it wasn't lost on me that this is a Belleville connection. We know the Belleville connection right now. We used to lament the Belleville connection. What's going on with the Belleville connection? It's just not there. The Belleville connection should have been there for Michigan all along, and it wasn't. But now it is. And then this looked like it was a part of the repavement and the highway of 94 that runs right by Belleville, right to Ann Arbor, damn near right up to the big house. And Payne was jumping on that. But then something happened. Payne signed something, I think, and then set it in. And then his dad said he was in, but then a representative for Payne said, not so fast. And then said, it's not quite done. When it looked like it was done, his dad said it was done, but and I think an agent said it wasn't done. So they weren't all on the same page when it came down to it. I think it's fair speculation. If you say, well, what's going on here is that Payne was ready to go to Michigan and they're just like, okay, sign in this box and you're in. And Payne did it. And then as soon as he did that, his agent or another school was like, you didn't like that bag that we were sending? Here's a bigger bag. And then he was like, oh, wait a second. I just signed. It's like, that's not binding. I don't know if it is or not. Or, tell him that you accidentally signed. Or, you want to take back your signature. You've got signer's remorse. And here you've got this gigantic bag or a bigger bag. And then Payne might have been like, well, Michigan, now I did just sign, but now I don't want to sign. But maybe I will, is if you can meet the latest offer. That's the name of the game now, right? Back and forth, bigger bag. And I don't think that makes Payne. You could say he's a pain in the ass. This is a pain. This is a painful recruitment. I don't look down on these players for pitting these schools against one another. They're trying to get the biggest payment that they can. You see it all the time in professional sports, which is kind of where we're at right now, where teams will be talking to one team and have another team. That's how business works. So, but Payne looked like you could make the case that he's more trouble than it's worth if he's going to sign his name and then have signer's remorse. Not even hit send and then 30 seconds later say, oops, wait a second, I want more money. You can say that, this, you might not want that player. And that's understandable from a fan's perspective. I think it's understandable if you're Michigan at some point. Like, so I'm like all about the free enterprise and go ahead and let's do it and all of that. But you do have to draw the line somewhere. And I don't know where Michigan's drawing that line. Free agency can be a messy business, how it gets into that. But if you land your player, ultimately in the pros, you're happy. However, you get to the finish line. College, there's all of this other stuff. And even when I have heard Sharon Moore talk about recruiting and NIL, he has said things like that. It's still, you have to fit a certain profile for Michigan. If a guy's coming in, just talking about money, then it might not be the fit that profile. Is it a little bit different as the days and as you get into the transfer portal, where that's, I don't know, like recruiting and transfer portal, they're kind of the same thing, but the portal, you've got 5 teams and they all want you to visit, and it's all happening right now. The money's flying and let's go. So you've got to loosen up the reins a little bit. You can't say, well, if these guys are talking about money, you're not going to get any guys. I think if you take that approach, I don't know, that could be a little bit of an exaggeration. And I'm just free flowing right now when it comes down to it. When we get to Payne, and look, you might be on the feedback right now saying that Payne's in. It's happening. Who's coming in? I'm starting at the bottom here, but the Ferris is saying it's transactional and transformational. Oh yeah. It's definitely a combination where it wasn't so long ago that Coach Harbaugh was talking about, no, it's absolutely transformational and not transactional. And then it was a blend of the two. And I still think it's a blend, but I think a heavy blend. If I'm making the drink, I got the drink out there for you. I'm like, here, it used to be, this is 4 parts transformational, 1 part transactional. And I think that was the drink that Sharon was mixing up. He's like, that's the transformational transactional. But I think as you get into the portals, we're sitting here right now, if it's not equal parts, pour me some more transactional. I don't think it's full, like, woo, transactional. That's too much. You've got to have a little of the transformational in there. But I think that the mixture right now is 50-50 when it comes down to it. I'm going to read some of the feedbacks. I like to get everyone's in here so I can respond to it, see where everyone's at. Dennis, we get Payne. I like how you phrased that because I don't really exactly know what you're saying. They may have got Payne. It might be painful, but the way you're spelling it is that you didn't say we got, we get. I don't know why people are talking about Cade McNamara. And so this would be all new news to me. I would say that anyone that was talking about Cade McNamara coming back to Michigan must be a ruse. Whoever the person is that you're looking up to that is talking about Cade McNamara coming back, I would say is pulling your leg. I thought I saw something out of there, and now there's 2 people saying it, so I think that maybe there could be something out there. That's news to me. I'm going to call that a farce, that there's no way that is going to happen. I don't think that, 1, he wants to come back. 2, Michigan wants him to come back. And 3, that he would be welcomed back by any Michigan coaches or any Michigan fans. So I am going to put the chances of Cade coming back at 0. And look, I didn't bash Cade too much when he left out the door. after being a captain and bidding farewell and going to Iowa. But some of the stuff that he had to say on his pod, if this is always a rich one, especially if you have a podcast. I'm going to tell you guys, I'm sitting on a bunch of big time information, but I can't really tell you what it is. Now, that's a fun tease if you actually deliver on some of that news, but Cade never delivered. Oh, I could tell you guys a bunch of different things about Michigan, and then he never did. He just said that he could. So I'm moving on from that. Dave is talking about recruiting. He says we suck at it. And he says facts, all 3 stars and 8 figures to get a commitment. Yeah, Dave, I'm not as in a sourpuss type situation as you. I think Michigan's doing well. I think they look now. You want to roll out all of the stars and bars and everything, and someone's telling you, or you're just feeling it yourself, that unless Michigan's dropping big bags, they're not getting big time players. I don't know. Like, I don't see any part of this that I agree with. We suck at recruiting. No, that's not true. They did a good job in recruiting this year by almost anyone that is looking at it. And then you say all 3 stars, which is absolutely false as well, Dave. And then you said that you had to give, $10 million to get a commitment. Well, they may have. We don't know exactly what the number is. I happen to think it is 8 figures, but that's the name of the game right now. And part of that game, Michigan's got a huge benefactor in Jolyn Ellison, or however you want to say your name, whatever. We'll just call her Jolyn. Everybody knows who we're talking about. That was great. So you got your time here. Maybe you want to explain yourself a little bit further, but there's no reason to be down. I mean, look, it's the holiday season. Michigan's doing well. They're out there fighting for commitments as we speak right now, bringing guys in to shape this team, and you're all Tom Izzo and the Grinch. You're a mean one, Dave. Dave dropping that big piece of coal on the show. Cut from a different cloth is rolling out some feedback. Let's see what he says. More McNamara stuff. Probably not. I might just put an embargo on any. Here's another one. This is how things happen. McNamara, come on now. Uh-oh. Here's Rico. Payne didn't commit. Right. I think that not only did he commit, but I think that he signed. But then I feel like myself that an agent or somebody else wanted him to reconsider. I don't think he himself, I don't know this. Again, speculation alert. I feel like somebody sweetened the pot and then he had signer's remorse. And so I think that this is all going to play out, where I think DVR has it right. He's either going to be a Payne, like, Major Payne in the movie back in the 90s. Good movie, by the way, Major Payne. I like that one. And also, is this Rocky 2 or 3? I think 3, maybe 2. My favorite Rocky movie with Mr. T in it. And if you didn't know the great line by Mr. T when he was very scary looking, and they were interviewing him, and poor Rocky was out there, and Mr. T was asked out on the steps of Philadelphia what his prediction was for the fight, and Mr. T said Payne for Balboa. What's your prediction for? And then a lot of folks, myself included, at different times when they have been asked, what's your prediction for the game? We have used the Mr. T line, Payne. What's my prediction for the ReliaQuest Bowl for Alabama? Payne. So, yeah, it's either going to be Payne with an AI or a Payne with an AY. So we'll see how that plays out. Old Hadley, let's see where he's at. He's talking Jim Harbaugh. If Jim Harbaugh was still the coach, you think he could have gotten Underwood and agreed to what he's getting paid? Absolutely. I think that Jim Harbaugh would, I think he thrives in this kind of situation. I know that he talked about transactional, but he was also talking about, let's get all these players as much money as we can through, they're the ones that are putting the product out there. Let's pay them. Harbaugh would be front and center out of all of that. Who knows what kind of stuff that he would be saying, but yeah, I think Underwood would be in the fold, and he might have been in sooner, but I'm not trying to take anything away from anybody, but yeah, I don't think Harbaugh would be like, oh my gosh, this is ruining the game. I don't, this is something. No, Harbaugh would be just fine. He was, when he left, the top coach in college football. Now you can say, well, Kirby Smart and Dabo, look at Dabo, the championship games and the national championships. Actually, if that's going to, how could you say Harbaugh was better than them? That would just be a belief. But if you wanted to go, championships always are a great deal to break a tie. So if at worst, he was one of the best three coaches in all of college football. He would find a way to have Michigan in the mix and everything. I don't know. Cade. Yes, Michigan's doing fine in recruiting. Let's see. Ferris Khan has said he has just checked $104 to get in the door for OSU, Tennessee. $437 for Notre Dame, Indiana. Why such a huge difference? Are the Buckeye Vol fans just buying up Rose Bowl tickets? Or maybe will there be a Tennessee takeover? Well, I'm going to go with what you just said here. I thought that the Notre Dame tickets in Indiana were going, now you're talking about just to get in the door. I thought there was double or triple a couple of days ago when I was looking. Now, I didn't actually go on and try to purchase them myself, but I thought that the tickets were way more. And I would think that Tennessee, a depending on where you're coming from, 3, 4, 5, 6 hour drive, that's very doable. If you're a Vol fan, are OSU fans that down in the dumps after losing to Michigan that they just can't bring themselves to going to another game? I think there's a little bit of the Michigan hangover at first that was involved in that. So good stuff, though. Mr. Martini is saying he's thinking it's Bryce or bust at this point. Well, they've got Bryce. So let's get to the next item, and that is the quarterback position. And there's a lot of things going on when you talk about the Michigan quarterback position, but when you have the situation that Michigan had last year, which was one of the worst situations that they have ever been in when it came down to the quarterback. So you're going to be pretty sensitive if you're the Michigan staff and if you're a Michigan football fan to the quarterback position. I think what you're saying is, Michigan's just going to go Bryce Underwood and that's it. Just going to roll the dice. He's going to be the quarterback from game one. That's not what they want. Now, maybe Underwood's going to be that good. There have been plenty of true freshmen that have gone out there, mixed results and all of that. We can cite all kinds of different players, but Michigan needs to bring someone in the transfer portal. Now, we can all give our opinion on where we think Davis Warren is in the mix. He is starting another game. We're going to see him in the ReliaQuest Bowl. Would it be bad news if we fast forwarded all the way to game 1 next year and Davis Warren was the starter? I would say that would be bad news for Michigan. If Jaden Davis was the starter for Michigan of game 1 next year, would that be good news or bad news? I think that would be better news than Davis Warren starting. And then if Bryce Underwood is starting from game 1, do I think that is great news or good news or bad news? I don't think it's great news, but I would say it's good news. I think what would be best for Michigan. And we know that they were after Edwards from Maryland and Miller Moss. And Miller Moss was like, these guys want to go somewhere where they feel like they have a chance to play. And you know, Moss is going to have an opportunity to play at Louisville with Brom. He's a quarterback, a known quarterback coach. That's a good marriage. Billy Edwards, money, and he's going to compete with somebody at Wisconsin, but he feels he's got a real chance to be a starting quarterback there. You know, the problem that Michigan has is one that Underwood is the local star, the money figure got out there. And so let's just say, now I know his dad said that it wasn't, you know, $10 million or $12 million. He made it sound more like it was $4 million. But if you're a transfer portal quarterback and your handlers are saying they gave a kid right down the street $12 million, the fans want him, the coaches want him, he's playing. They can talk all they want about coming in and competing. That kid is going to be not only breathing down your neck, everybody wants the kid. As soon as you throw an incomplete pass, everybody's going to want the kid. Put him in there. So you've got that. And part of that is real. Sharon Moore can emphasize and he can talk till he's blue in the face about it. Look, it's going to be an open competition. You win the job, you're going to win it. But those things change as soon as the ball snapped, you know, and for game 1. The best case scenario is that whoever this kid is that comes in, this player, he is going to push Underwood to be the very best he could be. And if Underwood is not ready, which there's from game 1, and it's more likely that he's not, to me, going to be. It's people that talk about him now. I hear almost every person say that he's just going to turn 18 in August. I'm taking the internet's word for that. I actually haven't checked out his date of birth, but I've seen it a million times now that he's just turning 18. So you want to plop him out there from game 1, and we know that it's been done, and it could be, and that'll be awesome and everything. The best case scenario is that someone that comes in and fights like hell, gets this job, and is able to push him to be his best whenever he takes over, whenever that is. If I had to predict, I would predict by game 5 next year that we'll see Bryce Underwood. I'll put the over and under at 4.5. I think most Michigan fans would say under. He'll be starting after the first game. He'll be after the Oklahoma game. He'll be starter. That would be game 3. So maybe I'd have to adjust, knowing that Michigan fans are all thinking that Underwood. I don't think you agree with me when I say game 5. I think most people think game 1. And you could be right. That's just me. That's just me talking. What did I want to say? The quarterback right now from Baylor, who previously was at Toledo, who went to high school in Detroit at Martin Luther King High School, is named DeQuan Finn. And he seems the most likely quarterback right now for Michigan in the portal. Not a done deal unless it's just happened in the last half hour, which it very well could have. But that's the name, and most of you know that. that is out there. And some would say, well, why can't? Should they spend more money to get another guy? I think there's a couple of things. And I think you have to put yourself in position of a transfer portal quarterback. If Michigan was able to put together, and maybe they will be able to do this with the transfer portal, where in a week's time, people across the country are going to say, Michigan looks like a college football playoff team. Look at what they've done in the transfer portal. They've got Payne. They've got the kid from Kentucky, Keyshawn Silver. They got Payne. They grabbed the running back from Alabama, who's from Buford, Georgia, Justice Hayes. They got the two twins from Arkansas, the Metcalf twins. They got this offensive lineman from Cal Poly. Let's say they land another 3-4 guys, a linebacker, and people are saying, look, Michigan's got this team's going to compete for the national championship. If I'm a quarterback out there and I'm thinking about playing time and I know about Underwood, that is going to help Michigan's chances on getting, if it's not Finn, on getting a better quarterback. If Michigan is looked at as a national championship contender, if Sharon Moore can say, look, we're going to win the national championship, the last piece we need is a quarterback to come and compete here. I promise you, if you're the starter, we want to win the national championship. That's going to help. I don't know how many people have talked about that, but that's real. That part's real. The playing time right now and looking at Michigan and like, well, that's real too. So that's where I'm at when it comes down to that. You know, one thing I wanted to say about the kid, a couple guys that they got, and I apologize. I know a lot of Michigan fans are like, that's yesterday's news. It actually is yesterday's news. I mean, they just got some of these guys yesterday, like the Cal Poly kid, Brady Norton. Now, Cal Poly's in the FCS, and he's got 2 years left, but he was the top-rated pass blocker by Pro Football Focus, which is not nothing. Here's what I wanted to say about Pro Football Focus and then Michigan. Sharon Moore was asked a month or two ago how much he paid attention to Pro Football Focus scores, and he just like, not at all. He said he was too busy to pay any attention to that. And some people could say, why wouldn't he pay attention to that? You know, it's just another tool that he could use. And I understand why you would ask that question myself. A week or two ago, I was talking with somebody about the Michigan hockey team. And this person said, he asked me if I knew how into analytics that the Michigan hockey team, Brandon Naurato, the head coach is. And I said, no, I heard he was an analytics guy. He said, he is such an analytics guy that they have 10 people during the game charting analytics for in between periods, for, after two periods for the game. 10 people just dedicated sitting there. Some of them are at home, some of them are in the building, but they are looking at all of this data to give the coach in real time. And I thought, wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of data. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of data. That's a lot of people breaking it down. Then I thought about Michigan football and all of the different film, all of the different teams, all of the different positions, and just how much bigger Michigan football is than hockey. 10 times bigger? Does Michigan football have 100 people? I don't know if it's during the game, but do they have 100 different people watching film all day? I don't know about all day, all night, but grading out. They've probably got 5 to 10 times more of the data on individual players than Pro Football Focus, who has one guy who goes through each play and gives a grade. There's the left tackle grade. Let me run it back. Michigan's got 10 times the amount, I guess, of Pro Football Focus on looking at and analyzing the data that they're using and how they're attacking the players that they're out there and looking at. That's why when Sharon Moore was asked about it, he could have said, are you kidding me? We got we got 10 times the amount of information that Pro Football Focus. Nothing against Pro Football Focus. But, we're all just out here on the street. And when Pro Football Focus says this is a guard or an interior offensive lineman that, has graded out pretty well, it's like we can watch the game, but it's, I just know for myself. I know when I see a good block or something, it's noted. And then if I see somebody really blow it, I'll say, okay, noted. But to talk about all of the snaps, and no, Pro Football Focus is a nice tool to use. I wanted to say that to everyone. And so we don't know if Norton will be, I would think that he would be on the interior offensive line. Here are both, there's a picture of the Metcalf kids. I called them twins. I'm actually not sure if they are twins. I guess I can't tell by looking. Metcalf brothers. TJ has 2 years left. Tevis has 3. So be interested to see what Michigan's scores were when it came down to that. All right. We have left here, get to a couple more on the feedback. Let's see. Ferris says, get Air Nolan or Quinn Ewers and forget about McNamara. Well, Air Nolan is in the transfer portal, so he would be a possibility. Hey, Air, do you want to come up and compete with Bryce Underwood? You just competed with Julian Sayin, and just saying you lost that battle. Now you're out there, you want to go up against Bryce Underwood. I don't see that, maybe. Ewers is really interesting. Ewers, who is the modern-day NIL poster boy, got $1 million while he was in high school, I think, from Ohio State, then went to Texas and got whatever he did there. Then Arch is behind him, and Arch has been playing in here. If Ewers goes out and plays a good game or 2 or 3 or 4, he could put himself into the first round of the NFL draft. He also could go out and lose the first game and lose his starting job for Texas and put himself in the portal and go somewhere. Now, will you have the same energy for Quinn Ewers if he goes out there in game 1 of the college football playoff and loses at home to Clemson? Doesn't play all that well. Say he throws a pick or 2. You're going to really be like, man, we really want Quinn Ewers in here. Maybe not. So, but, it's, that was looking at the absolute worst case scenario. Quinn Ewers bombs out against Clemson. You really want him in the transfer portal. They could lose to Clemson. He plays halfway decent. And so there you go. Quinn Ewers, you want to come in and take over for Michigan and bring along Underwood? What's the money going to look like? All of those kind of things. Interesting. That's a very interesting. Talking about Quinn Ewers at Michigan, Air Nolan at Michigan, all interesting. Cade McNamara, not so interesting, at least to me. Here's Dave. Oh, Dave, who was, here's the Grinch. Nothing against you, Dave. I just say that all in fun. I've seen you before here. I don't mean to, act like you're not, name calling you and everything else, but you're saying the portal, not high school kids that haven't played a down. Andres, did you see anything about the conflict within OSU? Coaches questioning coaches, players questioning players, players questioning coaches. Feels like if OSU gets down early, they're cooked. Yeah, well, there's nothing like when people present, a lot of times people think it's just, people are just saying it. National championship or bust. And that, hey, you better beat Michigan or you're going to really hear it. Well, they're really feeling it. It is such a pressure cooker. And to lose to Michigan in the way that they did, And I try to be objective about it, Ryan Day's record, but clearly Ryan Day, he coaches, he is a lot like John Cooper. John Cooper was excellent except against Michigan, and John Cooper coached differently against Michigan than he did against everyone else. And that's the way Day looks to me. Day goes ultra conservative. He coaches differently, and you can't do that. And if you do and you lose, you're going to get called out on the carpet for it. So, yeah, and especially when the week heading up, you're like, this is life and death. My family, he's just like, he acted really wild. Calm down a little bit. We understand that it's a pressure cooker and you've got to win and everything else, but it actually really isn't life and death. But, he's over there. Yes, it is. It's life and death. He's in too deep there. And the players, I go back to the beginning, what I was talking about it's talked about transformational, transactional, and Michigan looking at a certain profile. And some Michigan fans are out there just like spend, bag. Well, that's what Ohio State did. That's what they've done. And they were able to bring in, they continue to just churn out the greatest talent. But you watch them on tape and you're like, where's the technique? Where's the drive? Where's the fire? Where's the team play? These guys look more like a just collection of talent than they do a team. And so when you lose to Michigan, that all gets magnified by 100 times. And now they're going in. Yeah, I agree, Andres. The crowd worked against them at Michigan. It sounded like Ford Field when the Lions were 0-16 after the first quarter. The crowd was booing, murmuring. Another handoff that goes for 1 yard. Boo. Yeah, Tennessee's in a great spot. That crowd's going in there, and things go even a little bit against them, they're going to break and go against. And they'll all say, we were just booing Ryan Day. Okay. Yeah, you were. All right. Few more. Buckeyes don't like the cold or snow. That's true. This is also true. Underwood scares off portal quarterbacks. No question. Look at Ferris has actually looked up the birth date of Underwood. It is August 19th, 2007. So Bryce Underwood will have just turned 18 at the beginning of a season. He will be 18 in 12 days, he'll be 18 years old in 12 days. They put that out there. I don't know when actually the opener is, from September 1st, probably like the 4th. So he will just have been 18 for 2 weeks. CFADC is rolling out the Ryan Clark plaudits. Underwood is the best quarterback coming out of high school he's ever seen, and he saw Lawrence and Stroud, and they have 8 months to get him ready. He's starting by halftime of game 1. Yeah, look, it was great to hear Ryan Clark say that about Underwood. I'm not here, so I'm not. I know at some point I probably will this summer. Hey, there's a chance. No. Yeah, he's great. I think all of that stuff could be true. He still might not. I still think it's not best for Michigan. And not best for Underwood if he's starting from game 1. Now, look, I can recall in the pros, after I referenced the Lions being 0-16, I can recall all summer long after the Lions had drafted Matt Stafford saying, look, you don't want the weight of the world being on this kid's shoulders. You don't want 0-16 sitting out there. Put Culpepper out there. It's different, in coming from college, Georgia, then after your junior year, and then being the face of the franchise. And then in August, I got a coach coming over and telling me, it's like, Matt Stafford knows this playbook inside and out. He is more ready 100 times than Dante Culpepper. So all of those things you said, you understand, but Stafford's going to be starting from game one. And you know what? He can shoulder the load. He's that kind of quarterback as well. This guy will be in the Hall of Fame one day. He's just telling me all this, and I'm like, okay. And that guy was right. Sometimes you hear all of that, and you're thinking, I've got my own experience, and sure, everybody's talking so great about this. Bryce Underwood just might be that kind of kid. And there's a lot of people, you cite Ryan Clark, that are saying exactly that. He is that great player everywhere he goes. Anytime he's on the field, he'll be the starter at Michigan from game one. He will be great at Michigan. He will be a number one pick in the NFL draft. He will one day be canonized in Canton at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Hey, that's it. And so why should I sit here and say, well, I'm not really tapping the brakes. I'm saying that I think it's going to be best for Michigan to get a transfer portal quarterback that can push him, show him the ropes, compete with him. It's going to be best for him and for Michigan, and probably him starting. I don't know. Do people feel like that is? That is a little tap, tap, tap. Should I just be taking my right foot and smashing it down to the floor? Who cares who Michigan gets? Underwood is the truth. It would be more fun just to do that. I just got to follow not just my heart and my head. I gotta marry those two up and then decide. And I have decided that I'm not going to be tapping the brakes too much or telling anyone about guys that can't miss and how they haven't missed. That's not going to be me. I think that it's going to work at Michigan. So that's it. Well, Ripstar, who's been showing up on this feed for the last couple weeks, I thought, well, maybe he's just thought he was just getting tired. No, yeah, Nolan is in the portal. Andres is saying Aaron Nolan or Jaden Davis, neither is going to beat out Underwood. Yeah, the thing about Jaden Davis is that what I would like to hear from Sharon Moore, I was thinking about this today when I was looking through, and I was going to talk about the ReliaQuest Bowl. Things that I would want to hear from Sharon Moore down in Florida. I would like to hear, one, that Underwood could play for us, or Underwood looks great. He's probably going to say all those things. No, I would like to hear him say that Jaden Davis is taking a huge step forward and that he is going to play in the ReliaQuest Bowl. Now, starting him, that almost sounds a little too far-fetched, but and I better wait because I don't like playing two quarterbacks, but look at the game that we're talking about. The ReliaQuest Bowl. Yes, I think what I would like to hear is that Jaden Davis is taking a huge step forward, that it's just clicked in for him late in the season, and that he has taken that and run with it down in Florida, and he's going to be the starter. That's what I would like to hear. That sounds a little far-fetched. The other stuff that I would like to hear is that Jordan Marshall and Ben Hall are a 1-2 punch. What do they call Knuckles and what do they call Underwood and I'm supposed to know this, Knuckles and Speedster or whatever. Thunder and Lightning. And don't sleep on Michael Capana. This trio of backs, Michigan, they don't even need, he would never say they don't need Justice Haynes, but they're all set. They feel great about the backs that they have. Okay. Let's get to Slippin' Jimmy. Money is the most important thing in playing time after that. I guess they're not paying it up because we have all the PT in the world at wide receiver. Yeah, I don't know what the question was from Rico, Slippin' Jimmy, but I think if we're talking about the quarterback position, playing time is going to be just as important as the money. And sure, you're going to drop $10 million for 1 year for a backup quarterback that might get beat out in 5 games in. Let's be real. No, playing time, if you have 1 year left, or it doesn't even matter how many years you got left. If you're a transfer portal quarterback, you want to go somewhere where you feel like you have a legitimate chance to compete for the starting job and then have a great year and maybe go to the pros. Look at Rourke from Indiana. He's the poster child, led Indiana to the college football playoff. Do you think Rourke wanted to go to Ohio State? I mean, he was at Ohio where they had Aaron Nolan and Sayin, 2 5-stars. Even if they said, hey, here's $3 million, we're paying more. No, playing time. So, again, I don't know the whole context of your message here, Slippin' Jimmy, but playing time is going to be as or more important than the money. You got to bring money to the table. Ewers seems to perform in big moments the same that Kirk Cousins does. Yeah, Kirk Cousins is coming off an Achilles, and Kirk Cousins has been a not tremendous. He's been a good pro quarterback. He's just hurt right now. So that's it when it comes down to it. Do I have a few others that are coming in here? I do. Let's read some of these. Blue Wolverine is talking about how ironic it is for the OSU fan base having the emotional season they all projected Michigan fans would be having. Yeah, it's a tough spot. Do we all want to, stop, play our little violins for them? It's a little bit like Detroit Lion fans right now. Detroit Lion fans are despondent. They lost for the first time in 11 games on Sunday. They lost Knuckles. They lost the heart and soul with David Montgomery. They lost their second best defender to Aiden Hutchinson. They lost another one of their corners, and it seems like they lost the Super Bowl. And all Lion fans are totally on tilt. They're glazed over. The ones that aren't are still like, we love our team, we love Dan Campbell, but they're dazed. And it's completely understandable. But I think once Detroit beats Chicago on Sunday and they have 2 games left and they beat Minnesota to secure the 1 seed, if they do that, people are going to feel a lot differently than they do right now about the Lions' chances of advancing in the playoffs. And I think Ohio State, if they beat, sure, they can't. Oh, our coach is the worst. They're right. Our coach is the worst ever. He doesn't know how to beat Michigan. They can't get by. They can't get past that. That's the only thing they're saying. We can't get past Ryan Day. Can't beat Michigan. Ryan Day's a terrible coach in big games. Ryan Day should be fine. There's a lot of Ohio State fans that are like, Ryan Day could win the national championship and they'd still want him fired. But let's just say they beat Tennessee. I still think they'll be like, oh, now we're going to lose to Oregon. That's going to happen. We already lost to them, and they probably will. But if they beat Oregon, I think that they'll like Lion fans will. I don't know. People aren't liking that one. Let me move on. Day has to just accept the fact that Michigan has his number. Yeah, just accept it. Hey, I can't beat Michigan. That's it. Old Antoine told me 2 years ago that what was going to happen to Ohio State, and it was going to be like this Ohio State offensive line and defensive line is atrocious when it comes to recruiting. They're in trouble. Well, Antoine, I'm going to take 30 seconds and tell everyone that it was actually 3 years ago that you started taking shots at Ohio State. Not just shots, you looked at their talent, and you looked at their line, and you looked at their coaching, and you liked what Michigan was bringing to the table head to head against Ohio State. You kept saying it, and I thought at first, like, yeah, he's making some points, but he's just a big fan. But what you said has come true, and you were the first that I saw out there. Like, no, Michigan is turning the tables as we are sitting here. They are turning the tables on Ohio State. You are correct in that. Slipping Jimmy talking about the portal, and Smash says the Dr. Pepper ad is all I can think about when hearing the word portal. Well, is it the one where the guy he's holding on to the quarterback, and then, it's the Dr. Pepper hand, so he lets him go? He's like, I understand. I like the one where the girl's up in her room, and the guy's like, here, catch. Breaks the window, and she's like, and that's why you're a mascot. That's it. Antoine making a prediction. It's probably going to be Mr. Finn. Well, if Daquan Finn, come on down. Sounds good to me. Now, yeah, Billy Edwards sounded good to me. Finn sounds good. Talent sounds good. You know what? This is a high stakes game of poker that I don't think that, well, I know that you won't be able to handle, and I don't think I will be able to either. There is another transfer portal. Let's say that it doesn't work out with Finn. I think it could, and I would predict that it probably would too. Let's say Michigan doesn't get a quarterback in this portal. And so they're like, whoa. So they go into the spring, and then the idea is there will be players. Like Billy Edwards is competing with so-and-so that they brought in up at Maryland, and there'll be other quarterback battles that guys will lose out on, highly touted guys, and they'll be available. What if Michigan goes that route? They call it strike out, but they just don't get the guy that they want here. And they have to wait all the way till after spring. That's going to be too long for us to wait. It's going to be really hard. Now, could they get one now, and could they get one there? So I kind of like that. Antoine's talking about 4 QBs. Well, let's see. If they went that route, so you got Davis. We don't really know. And my prediction is that Davis was the one that would be going to the transfer portal in the spring. If they bring a guy in now, let's say it's Daquan Finn, where does that leave Davis Warren? And then maybe Michigan still could go. Yeah, Davis and Warren could both go. Finn could come in now, and then Michigan could look for another transfer portal quarterback in the spring. Now, look, I'm not trying to push Warren or Davis out. I think it's more likely that Davis goes than Warren, because Davis right now is your starter. And Davis right now is the backup to Underwood. And whoever, you're saying it's Mr. Finn, and, Daquan Finn comes in and they get the spring ball. Who's to say that Davis Warren, who's got a lot of reps now, and he's going to be taking the number ones, I think, during the ReliaQuest Bowl run-up, and he performs well in bowl practice. He does a decent job against Bama, and then he has a good spring. Who's to say that he's not beating out Daquan Finn and being that he doesn't start game one? Like, again, it doesn't feel good to me. A lot of it has to do with this season, and and how he looked there. But is there a world where it's still okay for Michigan if Davis Warren beats out whoever the transfer portal quarterbacks are, one or two, and then holds off Underwood? Again, I don't like that. I don't like that scenario. I do like this scenario. All we need is Haywood to go with Babaloa. Well, Haywood's an offensive lineman, very highly touted, who's waiting to commit. And yeah, bookends. Sure, I am right with you on that. That would be in Michigan. Looks like they're in great position there with Haywood. Couple more people talking Underwood. The first game is against New Mexico. Underwood needs to get ready for game 2 versus Oklahoma, so he'll be playing in game 1. Let's go. Well, you start him if you're planning on. If you're making it sound like he's going to start against Oklahoma, well, then he should start against New Mexico. Give him as many reps as you can. Let's not talk about that he's only going to be 18 in 2 weeks. 18 years old, 2 weeks. How do you say that? He is 18 years old. He's only been 18 years old for 2 weeks. That was easy. Whew. Here's Woodshed. Or should we call him Clint? He's got an issue with Bryce Underwood. If they play him like they did Cam Newton, who they blew up, and that's exactly what he did, blow up, but sizzle like a sparkler. Well, you're talking about Cam Newton at Carolina, who was the MVP of the league and took him to the Super Bowl? Or are you talking about Cam Newton, who went to Auburn, but he transferred from Florida because he was in hot water for swiping computers or something? So I don't know. I don't know what the big issue there is. I don't know. Was Underwood or Cam Newton going to play at Florida, but was stealing computers or something? Will Davis Warren pass for over 100 yards? So we're talking about the ReliaQuest Bowl. Where would I put the over and under at? That's about that. It's not going to be. I'd hate to say I would take the under. But if you'd have said 77 to go, could you imagine putting in a parlay, a same game parlay of, I like Michigan to hold Ohio State under 11 points. I like Michigan outright. And I like Davis Warren to throw for under 100 yards. Woo! Man, that would have been a hot parlay. Sonic. Jordan Marshall is Sonic and Ben Hall is Knuckles. I know that's been, that's the Lions moniker. All right. We do have a few more that we'd like to get to. And Vaughn says, you say he signed and then changes his mind. Doesn't a person's word mean anything anymore? Your word is your deed. That's how I was brought up. Yeah, well, Vaughn, it's the bedlam of the first time of the portal. And Vaughn, I don't know your situation, but also as you're getting ready to sign, your phone's ringing and somebody adds another 0 to the end of the check and you're saying, hey, can I get out of this? Are you going to say, no, that's your word? You make a point. I mean, I don't know if it's a good point too, but we also understand the other point. These guys might be just 17 or hell, like Underwood, maybe he's, 16 and I don't know, he's 17 years old and somebody's saying, here's 200,000. And then your phone rings and saying, oh, wait a second. Did you sign yet? We've got 300,000. I'd be like, okay. I don't know what I'd be like. Whew. Slippin' Jimmy was talking about we need wide receivers, and they don't seem to care that we have Underwood. I thought there would be a lot more interest at this point. I agree. But the other thing is that they still have some time when it comes to wide receiver. They did get the wide receiver from Indiana. They've got a couple wide receivers that we didn't see this year. And then if they've got a few coming in, I would imagine that there's another one out there. And then there is the spring portal. So that they don't field this complete team with the portal and you're looking at it and saying, oh, national championship, there's still another round of this to come. That's it. Here's Lego my ego. Looking good. He said he just saw that I was on. He's going to have to rewatch. Have a good one. Yeah, you too. Rewatch it anytime. It's there. All the way back from 3 years ago when we started out. A breach of a contract is a non-starter. I understand that. I don't know exactly if it was a breach of contract or as he was. I don't know. It might have been though, right? Oh, we're talking about the Lions, 27 player. Yeah, look, my analogy for the Lions feels like if I went to Las Vegas to play in the World Series of Poker, didn't have, had some pretty good expectations, but just started flying through, was running great, chip leaders, mounds of chips, everything I was doing, I was flipping over. Even if I was down, I'm sucking cards out, and I make the final table. And I've got a gigantic chip lead, and I'm feeling great about myself, but I get into some kind of cooler situation where I lose 3/4 of my stack. I know how that feels, even in nothing like just regular playing with my friends. It just, I know what being on tilt feels like. Lion fans are totally on tilt right now. So are Ohio State fans. They have that in common. Yeah. Dan Gamble. Now, Dan Campbell can start gambling, and hopefully he doesn't have to gamble too much against the Bears. Rip wants to go after these busted gems in the portal. I like the up-and-comers from smaller schools that had a breakout season like Josiah Stewart when we got him from Coastal Carolina. Well, I don't know. Like you can get players from all places in college football. Justice Haynes comes from Alabama as a running back. That seems like a really good get. That would seem great. I hear what you're saying about Josiah Stewart coming in, but they also, somebody like, Miles Hinton. I don't know if it was Stanford or Preeb from Northwestern. You look at some of the different ways that they've gone. Sometimes it just doesn't, there's you say your situation, even if you're heralded, just might not work out there. Up transfers. Somebody was pointing out that not many up transfers work at quarterback, but then Rourke, let's see, he goes out and beats Notre Dame. Going to be a lot of people like, let us find our Curtis Rourke. And oh yeah, DeQuan Finn was at the MAC, and then he went to Baylor, and now at Michigan. So except at quarterback, where you don't have as many, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. A few more here. Otis says Tennessee plays in the soft SEC West. However, Ohio soft will tell them to hold their beer and will show them how to be the softest. I'm taking Tennessee with the points. Quinn Ewers to Michigan. That is not the first time that has been said on today's show. Go back and we talked about that. Does anybody want to explain to Matthew? He says it just came in. What's up with the defensive lineman from Alabama? Let's get you an update and see if we actually have something on Major Payne, Mr. Payne, Demond Payne. Let's see if I do have an update. First of all, I'll have to take a look. Payne is now going to, no, I'm just kidding. I was going to make something up. I don't know how wild it could be. He has committed back to Alabama, but he signed, but now he has torn up on a live IG. He has lit his letter of intent on fire, and underneath it all, it's a Michigan sign. That wouldn't be it. I do have an update from Demond Payne. And it is looking like a positive one. It was, hold on. Oh, man. And one of my favorite Demond Payne gifts is this one right here. There's Demond Payne. You got it from The Simpsons, where the guy walks in, puts his hat on, walks in, turns around, grabs his hat. There he goes. But no. Let's see. What if I told you that Mr. Payne was all committed to Michigan and ready to sign up a deal, but then at the last second, either he did not sign or he did sign and then had signer's remorse? And then there was a lot of internet stuff flying around. His agent, his dad, another handler, a middleman. And then maybe Michigan came back and said, all right, well, we can meet that. Or Michigan was like, really, are you just going to go somewhere for an extra zero? Or are you a man of your word? I don't know. This is all me, complete speculation, conjecture, all of that. But it looks like he's back. Payne to Michigan. Like I was saying all along, the kid, give him just give him an hour to think about it. He's from Belleville. He's right down the road. Sure, you get a little cold feet, but then, hey, maybe Underwood gave him a call. Said, what's up, Payne? Oh, you want a little more? Okay. Maybe Bryce was like, I can sweeten things up a little bit. That's my boy. I don't know that. Again, possible. That wouldn't be the craziest thing ever. Maybe. What would I like to have had happen? What I would like to in all these situations is that somehow Jolin got involved, and Jolin's like, hey, if the kid just wants an extra 100,000, she's like, is that all? Done. I just remember when we had that coach who didn't wear the headsets. I don't want that anymore. Bring him in. Maybe Jolin tells Michigan and everyone, it's like, whatever they want, just give it to them. You guys do whatever you want. But in the end, just give them whatever they want. Michigan's got an endless supply of money. I like that narrative. But again, you have to present, you don't want to be like, hey, we're just handing out all the money you want. Just tell us, here's a blank check. You go ahead and write it in there. No, you've got to play the game. And plus, Michigan doesn't want someone that's going to be like that. They want, again, you fit a profile. You don't want to be talking about money all the time. You want to be talking about things like school, teamwork, and things like that. And so if I'm an agent, I know that. I'm going to tell my guy, talk about school, talk about your coaches, talk about working with your position coach, and then we'll come in at the end with the money. We'll get it all in. We'll get it in. Let's do it. I don't know. However it went, Payne is a good, now coming out of high school, he was a great prospect, right? And then he played for Alabama this year. That ain't that bad. Hometown kid. The Belleville pipeline now. Can we call it a pipeline? Yes, I'm going to say you can. Now, if it was just Underwood, you could say, well, that's one guy, but just Underwood needs to be put in air quotes. I mean, okay, the greatest prospect ever. So that's not just Underwood. Oh, yes, teammate Dotson, who I love. And now another Belleville Tiger. That's a pipeline. I'm going to have to look at that class for next year and what they're saying about these Belleville guys. AJ likes Finn. Stopgap, similar style, and they're good friends. When he says they're good friends, he's talking about Underwood. Boy, that sounds a little bit... You're right, AJ. I saw that myself, that Daquan Finn and Bryce Underwood are good friends. I just saw that they're friends. I didn't see the part good friends, but, hey, good friends, teammates, placeholder, stopgap, mentor, teammates, all going after one goal. No hard feelings if one guy's over here. Yeah. I'm talking to myself. I'm in on it, like I said. Old Rips, going back to the Davis Warren topic. The coaches know what to expect. That's why he'll stay and compete for quarterback 2. Finney. I like that. I have a nephew named Finn, and guess what, Ripstar? Everyone calls him Finney. How about that? Okay. Mr. Martini. Do you really want a quarterback that lost to a backup quarterback and a one-arm quarterback in the championship game? You have to win that game. I'm not sure how to answer that question. Finn is dangerous. Something to chew on from Ferris. Davis Warren and Cade McNamara beat OSU. That is an unreal fact. AJ wants Michigan to start anybody but Warren. I get that feeling. All right, we're kind of getting, and it is probably the best point. All of that rambling that I was doing about Mr. Payne. We don't know the details of what happened, so don't judge. I think that's a great point. I'm not in there either. There's people knocking, let's go. What I did want to say here in closing is that you're a Michigan football fan and you like recruiting, and now the portal, it is on steroids, and because Michigan is one of the teams that is benefiting from how the rules are working right now, it's a lot of fun. It'd be pretty close, and like it was 48 hours ago, of people crying about it and everything else. But in sports, it's not just nowadays. It's been like this for a long time. I've noticed over the last week, they put out the NBA. They've got really poor ratings. This isn't the first time I've seen this. It seems like every couple of years they put that out, and then everybody just, you would ask people when I worked in sports radio, hey, what do you think about the NBA? There would never be anybody who would call about the NBA. Like nobody ever. But you say, what's wrong with the NBA? Well, you get a million people that call in. Oh, they don't do this. They don't do that. The point is that people like to complain about sports. And the sport that has the most, I would say, per capita complainers is the sport that I like the most, college football. And you could say it's a good thing because it's a debate. I can recall before they had the BCS where they actually played where they took the two top teams and put them in there, where they just voted. You might have Michigan playing Washington State in the Rose Bowl, and in the Orange Bowl, you might have Nebraska playing like Miami, and then you had to vote. And I worked with someone that said that's the beauty of college football. It's the debate that never ends. And you can always talk about what would happen if that. And I said, wouldn't it be better if they actually played? I don't know, actually met on the. No. It's better this way. I don't think so. Now, you have college football with the calendar and the amount of money that they're making, and then you have school. And the school calendar doesn't fit with college football. So there's not easy answers. And now what I have seen from the courts, like you could say, don't let them do this, trim the transfer portal. What you have seen with what Virginia did last year, where they call, I'm no lawyer or antitrust specialist, but anything that you're going to do that's going to prohibit the kids from making money now or being able to move freely is going to get shot down. You got to let these guys, just like the coaches. The coaches can leave at any time. They're cutting side deals. People are like, oh, I don't like that. That's distasteful. They've been doing it for years. Now that the players are doing it, we got a lot of people. And look at people. You got to have something to do up until Friday when the actual college football starts. There's a lot of people complaining about it. I thought that I would trade it all for Michigan being in the college football playoff this year. And we know they had a disappointing season. They ended it on a high note, beating Ohio State. But I think the college football playoffs are great. I think that it worked out with the 12 teams. Yeah, purpose. I don't know if there's ever going to be a perfect system because there's always arguments about who's 13 or 14. I thought it worked out fine. And when you have an academic calendar, you have a football calendar, you can try to trim the schedule. You can try knocking off games. You can try taking out a championship game. Oh, NBA would be a lot better if they cut the season in half. College football would be a lot better if they didn't play those 3 easy games at the beginning and then had a conference championship games. You can make some adjustments here, but I thought, like with the Heisman Trophy, 2 guys that weren't quarterbacks that went 1-2, one from a non-Power 5, Power 4 conference. That was great. It was a really good year for college football, and we're just getting going in the 12. I have to hear everybody, oh, Bo Pribula is leaving Penn State. This is horrible. Okay. Not all that bad. It's not all that bad. It's a lot better than it used to be. But that's kind of the way things work nowadays. The way things work here is that we are going to take this conversation over to the Maize and Blue Review, The Den. And I urge you, this holiday season, why not join up the Maize and Blue Review, and we just do this all day and all night. We're talking about Michigan and what's really going on with Major Payne, with Damon Payne. What really happened with that recruitment and how that went down. And now that Michigan looks like they're the ones that it ended up with, it's all good. Who cares? Some people will, but if he gets out and makes some plays out on the field, you forget that. Forget. Kid's 17 years old. No, 18, maybe 19 now. Who knows? He's a teenager. Let's give him a break. That's going to do it. Thanks so much for watching. We'll talk with you on Friday, the start of the 12-team college football playoff. I'll be excited. Who knows what will be in store for Michigan with their team and how it'll be shaped and molded over the next 48 hours. Stay tuned. So long, everybody.